Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. Today I'm talking about 5 masculine traits that women find irresistible. So these are the 5 traits that any woman will find extremely irresistible in you if you display them, right? Now, of course, this is my disclaimer here, and that is attraction isn't a choice. So even though you may, attract a lot of women by behaving like this, what you got to realize is that not every single woman is actually going to be insanely attracted to you, because it's almost like we all have this like navigation system inside of us that makes us drawn to certain people and attracted to certain people. And I'm sure you've had the same experience. There may be some women out there that you find extremely beautiful and you would love to be with them, you would love to be in a relationship with them, right? And there are other women that you come into contact with that feel more like friends, or they feel more like sisters, or they kind of just turn your stomach for some reason or whatever by their behavior or the way that they look, right? So that's what you got to take on board here, right? Is that the women also have that as well. So a woman may find you interesting or fun, right? But they may not necessarily want to be with you romantically. But these will definitely insanely help with those women that are probably on the fence about you, like they're attracted to you, but they're not sure about you. And definitely those women that do automatically find you attractive. Okay, so these traits will definitely help with your game, with those kinds of things, okay? With those women. But there's not too much you can do about those women that have zero attraction for you. Okay, it's just one of those things. It's not anything that anyone can do about it, right? So the first trait that masculine, one of the 5 traits that women find irresistible in men is not chasing and acting needy, right? So this is a really important one, okay? What you got to realize is that if you're dealing with a woman who's really beautiful and you really like her, there's no doubt that there are other guys probably talking to her too and trying to get with her, right? And trying to lock her down to a relationship. But if you're the one that's not doing that, if you're the one that's not acting needy, that's not always blowing up her phone with messages or missed calls, voicemails, if you're the one that's kind of taking a laid back approach, right, you're going to do way better, because you're standing out, you're acting different, right? And you're acting strong, right, and masculine, right? Because you're not basically falling at her feet, essentially, right? So by taking a more laid back approach, by not chasing and acting needy, you're actually going to do yourself a lot of favors. So how does this work in the real world? How can you practically sort of like come across this way then? Okay. So one of the things that you can do is when you start dating a woman, when you start talking to her, just ask her out to begin with, just like once a week, right? And try to keep messages between dates to a minimum, right? And basically what she'll learn is that, oh, he only asks me out once a week, right? And he doesn't really talk that much during those times to me, right? It's best to keep it as minimum as possible. Sometimes it's best to keep it at 0, but sometimes that's not necessary if you're dealing with a woman who really likes you. Because if you're dealing with a woman that really likes you, she'll be contacting you a lot, right, basically. But if you're dealing with a woman who's sort of on the fence, she may not be contacting you a lot. And she may not be talking to you at all. She may always wait for you to initiate, right? At least to begin with, right? So with those kinds of women, it's best to keep contact very much to a minimum, if not 0. And the only time you talk to them is when you're asking them out, to ask when they're basically available to see you, right? So you do that once a week for a while, right? Arranging a date. So it's always a good idea as well to make dates in advance. So let's say you start talking to a woman on a Monday, you ask her out that night, ask her out for the Saturday or the Sunday, right? So it gives you a long stretch of time between, asking her out on the date. So it builds the anticipation. Okay, and what will happen is when you keep on doing that, let's say you do that 2 or 3 times with her, right? Each week you ask her out, and you arrange a date like a few days in advance. What will happen is when she starts to like you, when she starts to fall in love with you, she will start reaching out to you more, right? And then you don't really have to do as much because she's reaching out to you. You don't have to be the one to initiate, to ask her out, right? Because basically what you can do is you can do what Corey Wayne says, which is, when a woman reaches out to you, assume that she wants to see you. So if she initiates contact with you during this time, right, all you have to do is like, hey, it's great to hear from you. When are you free again to hang out? Something like that, right? And then basically what's happening is you can see it in real time happening, her falling in love with you by the amount that she starts to initiate after those first couple of initial dates. Right, so that's how you can use this straight away, this non-neediness, this non-chasing sort of attitude, right? Non-neediness is something that a man called Mark Manson coined, basically in his book called Models, which I would highly recommend that you get. It's actually in one of the recommended books that I have in the description of this video. And basically, and so is Corey Wayne's book is in that selection as well of books. Basically, those books have 5 dating and relationship books and also 5 personal development books. These are the best books that I've personally found on those topics, right? So you can get the dating and relationship ones if you're that into it, if that's what you're into right now. But I also recommend the 5 personal development ones as well. And if you buy a book through any of those links, I will get a commission, which costs no extra charge to you. But alternatively, if you can't afford the main prices on Amazon right now, you can just write down those titles and then look for cheaper copies on eBay. But it's a great way to support my channel, so I thank you very much if you do actually purchase a book or an audio book through those links. So another trait that women find irresistible, another masculine trait that women find irresistible, is patience in the bedroom. I find this is so important. So with a lot of guys, they go completely like gung-ho in the bedroom, like straight away they're trying to like grab her down there, right? Straight away, like they want to get on with it, right? They want to get on with the day. But the longer you take, right, the more foreplay that you do, the better it is for her, and actually the better it is for you, because she's going to enjoy it way more if you take time to warm her up, right? Right? So, make sure that you spend some time kissing, touching, cuddling, right? A good amount of time, right? Not just like 5 minutes, maybe like 20, maybe sometimes to like half an hour. Or you can start the foreplay from when you start hanging out, you start with, trying to bring in that sort of like sexual energy and stuff like that. Okay, and you can have foreplay pretty much like all night, when you start, when you're on your date, right? Because especially if she's really attracted to you, she's going to want to be close to you. You can be like stroking her leg and touching her hands, things like that. And you may be making out already and things like that. You can start the foreplay way earlier if you want to, right? And if it seems like that energy is there, right, and she's like really close to you and wanting to be near you, right, and you can tell that she wants to be kissed because she's like maybe like looking down at your lips and then back of your eyes, then down at your lips again and back of your eyes, and she may be close to you, she may be actually touching you. And what you got to remember with women is that if she's touching you, that's permission for you to touch her back and to hug her, to hold her hand, to put your hand on her knee, that kind of stuff, right, and to get close to her, right? That's your permission to do that too. If she's doing those things to you, it's okay for you to do those back, right? Because I know a lot of guys are scared these days of consent and all the rules around that. But if you know what it feels like for a woman to be attracted to you and really want to be around you, then you know what it's like when she's in the mood or when she's being flirty and when she wants to be close to you, because she'll be close to you, right? That's how you can tell basically a lot of the time, right? And when you get to doing the dirty in the bedroom, take your time. She will love it, right? So, and she might even start begging you, right, to make love to her, right? So it's a good idea to just take your time to slow things down, okay? It just works way better that way for both individuals, okay? And it really works for her. Like if you want her to have the best night of her life, extend the foreplay, right? If you want her to think that you're the best lover she's ever had, extend the foreplay, right? Make it go on for a while, okay? And it's fun, right? It's fun. You can be joking, you can be laughing, you can be being playful, you can be talking, and of course touching as well, and that's always fun. All right? So just patience in the bedroom. She will love you for it. She really will. And also it makes you look like not a horny teenager, right? Because horny teenagers, they want to get straight in there, right? Right? But this makes you look more like a man who understands attraction, right? So the next leadership, the next quality that women find irresistible is leadership, right? So what is leadership? Okay, so especially in terms of dating and attraction, leadership is when you are the one to initiate things, right? Because obviously to begin with, most women don't initiate like, hey, I like you, that kind of stuff, right? So maybe you have to be the one that initiates the interaction, like, hey, you know what, I think you're really cute, when are you free to hang out, you know, so you're putting your interest out there for her to know, right? So that's leadership energy, by being the first to say that you're interested romantically, right? And that doesn't mean that you say, oh, I really like you, or I'm in love with you. That's too much. But what you do is you just extend a date. Say like, hey, look, I think you're really cute, or I think you're really amazingly beautiful. I think we should hang out. When are you free? Right? When are you free to do that? When are you free to hang out? We should go out sometime, right? You should say something like that. So that's leadership energy, going first, right? Another part of leadership energy in which you can use, especially with your communication, to show that you're a leader, is about where to go on the date, right? That's really important too, right? So be a leader and say, hey, I think we should go to this restaurant at this time, at this place. Like, if she tells you when she's available, she's like, oh yeah, I'm free Saturday, I'm free Sunday. You're like, great. How about we meet at 7 at Joe's bar, right? Or something like that. That's what you say. You say something like that. And because that shows leadership, because you're not only saying what place you should go to, but you're saying the time as well, right? So that really does show off that leadership energy. And when you are together, you know, you're leading the interaction. Like, so that means like when you are, you know, walking across the street together, you take a hand and you lead her across the street, that sort of stuff. You know, you also, when you're walking together, you either want to be side by side, or you want to be a tiny bit in front of her, right? Like maybe like a foot in front of her, right? If you're obviously holding hands, then it's better to just be like side by side. But if you are not holding hands or anything like that, then you should be like at least a foot in front of her, because it shows that you're the leader, you're leading her, right? And you're taking her to where you want to go. So for example, to a different bar, or to although bars might be a bit loud, it might be your best bet is actually going to places that are more intimate and quiet, like restaurants, you know, quiet places for a drink, you know, that sort of thing, right? So that's how you can display leadership, and you have to continue with that leadership throughout your relationship too, right? You can't just be letting her be the leader and expecting her to just solve everything, right? It's like, make sure that you continue to act and behave that way throughout, because sometimes guys get really good at these different traits, but then when they get into a relationship, they completely lose them, right? And they don't. You have to continue with this. So I highly recommend, if you're on the verge of getting in a relationship with someone and you're trying to make them more attracted to you, highly recommend coming back to this video again when you're in a relationship too, so that you can remember these things, so you can keep your girlfriend or your wife attracted to you in the long run, okay? So another thing, another trait that women find irresistible, that is very masculine, is confidence, right? Now, with confidence here, I don't mean like being like all macho and stuff like that, although sometimes that can be quite attractive to women. What I mean is really, you are calm, right? You're calm in the face of the storm. Now, the storm may be something going on in your lives together, right? It could be something like that. Or it could be her mood. Perhaps she's acting chaotic or emotional or something like that, right? And basically, whatever she does and whatever happens, if it's a circumstance or her, you are exactly the same. You do not change your mood whatsoever. Because it goes back into leadership in a way, because you aren't reacting off her behavior, right? You are the leader, right? So but you're basically in control of the atmosphere, right? And if you want to have a fun and happy time and you're in a good mood, then you're going to stay in that way. And even if she isn't in a good mood, you can say to her something like, well, you know what, I'm in a really good mood. I'm having a great time today. And, you know, if you're not really there right now, then that's fine. But I'm going to go and, you know, go back home, or I'm going to go to this other place and I'm going to go and enjoy myself, right? But you know, and if you want to join me, you can. But if you're in this bad mood, then I don't really want to be around you right now, because it's bringing me down. So I'm going to go, and, you know, you just call me when you're ready to hang out again, right? You got to have this sort of like really calm, stoic energy about you, and not get too emotional, too angry, or too anything, right? You got to be calm, right? You got to think of it as you are the calm in the storm. You are the eye of the storm, where everything is just absolutely amazing, even if things around you are going to shit, right? Okay, so that's basically how you've got to act and behave, and that's extremely attractive to women, because women do tend to be a lot more emotional about certain different things. I know men have emotions too, obviously, but it's a different kind of thing, right? It's different for women and for men. Like, the emotions are different, right? So if you can act calm in the midst of her storm or a stormy thing going around you, right, that's happening right now, and you can act calm and collected, like let's say for example that you're out with her and a fight breaks out in the place that you're at, right, you know that you can just calmly just walk her out of the place, you know, go somewhere a bit safer, go somewhere a bit more comfortable, that sort of thing, right? But it doesn't mean that you start getting all angry and start joining in with the brawl or things like that, right? It just means that you can lead her out there and you can get her to safety and that sort of thing, right? So it's all about being that calm presence, and you're not getting, because even if you are feeling nervous, even if you are feeling scared, you don't show it on your face, because if she's looking to you for leadership and she can tell that you're freaking out, she's going to start freaking out even more, right? So it's best to be the one that's calm, and that's insanely attractive to women, and she will find you irresistible if you can be that for her, if you can be the rock, if you can be the mountain, if you can be that stoic, you know, calming presence, basically. Okay, so another masculine trait that women find irresistible is like kind of like cocky playfulness, right? And what I mean by that as well is that it doesn't mean that you're always bantering, it doesn't mean that you're always being silly and things like that or immature, but it just means that every now and again, you know, you can have a little bit of that in your life with her. And when you date her and things like that, you're kind of like just being a little bit tongue in cheek, and sometimes you may say things that she may think you're being serious out, and she can't really tell if you're being serious or if you're just messing with her, right? And you're just playing, right? So I remember when I first started dating my wife, she was telling me about all these other girls that she dated. Well, I say all these other, it wasn't actually that many, but she was telling me about the girls that she had dated recently, right? And there was two of them. And one of them had given her like 2 bunches of flowers after the first date, right? And she was like telling me about all these things that she would do for her. And she was also dating another girl before that one who had like made like a really cheesy video with her in it, and with like love music and stuff, right? And she would like buy her loads of different things, and just all these different stuff. And she was telling me this kind of stuff, and she was telling me how unattractive it was because she didn't actually like that, because she was like, well, it makes me feel like I owe them something if they give me gifts too soon and things like that. I was like, yeah, well, you know, from me, you know, you'd be lucky to get a slap on the ass and a cream egg from me, right? That's what I said to her, right? And she could tell that I was playing with her. She could tell that, yeah, I do care about you. Obviously, I would give you more than that. But, you know, she could tell from my energy that I'm not one of these people that's going to like shower her with like gifts and things like that, because most of the time women don't want that kind of thing. They don't want gifts all the time. They don't want you know, lots of bunches of flowers every single day and loads of engagement rings or whatever, you know, jewelry. They don't want that a lot of the time. And if you do come into contact with a woman who does want those things all the time, then you got to realize that that woman is probably materialistic, and it's probably not the right woman for you. But that's something that I said to her. I said to her, you know, basically in a way, letting her know in a way that I'm not going to treat you like a princess. I'm going to treat you like an equal. Of course, I'm going to be nice to you. Of course, I'm going to care about you. I'm going to love you. I'm going to adore you. But I'm not going to be needy. I'm not going to I'm not going to do too much. I'm not going to put you off of me by buying you everything under the sun, right? And I let her know that in a very subtle but playful, cocky way, and she thought it was hilarious, and it was an ongoing joke for ages. I remember once I got her it was like a Christmas present. I got her like a random cheap frame that we still have today actually, and I put a picture of a cream egg in it, right? And a cream egg is basically like a little it's got like it's like chocolate with like icing or fondant in it. It's by Cadbury, right, the chocolate company here in the UK. And it costs like maybe like 70p to a pound, right? It's not very expensive, right? So basically I was telling her, you're lucky, and you'll be lucky to get something that costs under £1 from me, right? And but it's just this playful, bantery, sort of cocky energy, right? And that's basically something else that women find insanely attractive, because it shows that you're not taking yourself seriously. You're not taking her too seriously. And you are, you know what, you know how to have a good time. You know how to have a laugh. You know how to make a joke, right? You're not too serious, basically. Alright, so thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.